Thank you for coming out. We have a large crowd today. There are still 5 or 6 seats over here if you're looking for a seat in the back. How many of you are here for the first time? That's awesome. Thank you for coming. 1 Million Cups meets in 80 locations across the country every Wednesday morning. You guys are at the 3rd largest in the country, so we're super pumped about that. It's because of you guys, so thanks for coming. The format is this. We have 2 entrepreneurs present every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. right here in this room. They tell us their story, their struggles, their successes. They speak for about 6 to 8 minutes, and then we open it up to you guys for Q&A. So most of the value that these presenters get from being here is from that Q&A session, your input, your questions. So please participate early and often. We also, you guys notice we have a big group here today. We have the Leadership Springfield group who is here joining us. How many of you guys are here for the first time? Awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. Very good. So today's, we have a refill, which means this is a presenter who has been here before. He has presented a while back. He's going to provide us with an update on his progress since the last time he presented. And then we also have a new presenter here, Modern Craftsman Design Group. This is a very unique business plan, and I'm really excited for the Q&A session for that one. So to go ahead and get started, we have with essets, Paul Roberts.
Testing, can you hear me? Okay. So I do about a half a dozen presentations a week, but usually it's using GoToMeeting, and I actually don't go out in public very often. So I'm going to start by asking the audience some tough questions. How many here have a house? Okay, good. Now you don't have to vocalize all these answers. Now, do you ever know that you've got something in the house and you just can't find it? You know it's there somewhere, but you don't know where it is. Yes, sometimes? Okay, I'm the only one. Well, only one. All right. Do you have a lawnmower? Does anybody have a lawnmower? Do you know where the owner's manual is? Oh, good. So we have several people nodding your head. Good. Do you know the last time you changed the oil? Okay, good. When was the last time you sharpened the blades? Don't know. Okay. Let's say you've got a Black & Decker weed eater. What's the gas to oil ratio mix that you need for that? Don't know. Okay. So how many different sizes and types of light bulbs do you have in your house? Now, next question is, how many replacement light bulbs do you have for each of those different types? Okay? Let's get tougher. Do you have a car? Does anybody have a car? All right. How much did you spend on maintenance on that car in the last year? How much did you spend on fuel for the car during the last year? Now, if that car is getting to be a little bit older, at what point do you make a decision that the maintenance effort and the maintenance cost on this vehicle is getting to the point where I might want to look at a replacement, maybe a more fuel-efficient vehicle? So there's some tough decisions there, eh? Now do a visual walkthrough of your house. Think about all the major appliances that you have in your house. You probably got air conditioners, maybe a forced air furnace, hot water heater, refrigerator, dishwasher, maybe several other things. Now, quick, when was the last time that you changed the air filter in your forced air furnace? Anybody know? Okay, that's a tough one. If disaster struck, which that can happen around here, it could be a tornado, could be a fire. Do you have a list of everything that's in your house that you own? Number one, do you have a list? Number two, is that list in the house that just burned down? Do you keep a to-do list of stuff around the house, or a honey-do list? Does that list get long? Now, if you're like me, you walk around the house, and every room that you go through, you go, gosh, we need to get that carpet cleaned. or I need to fix the gutter, or I need to change the filter, and so on. So now take those things. You've got one house. Now let's magnify that. Let's say that you have the equivalent of 20 houses, 50 houses, 100 houses, or even 1,000 houses. Now I say the equivalent, so let's translate that to commercial buildings. They have all those kind of things in commercial buildings as well to do. So that's the problem that essets is here to solve. It's to answer some tough questions. Questions like who, what, when, where, why, and how much. Who asked for something? Who can fix it? How much is it going to cost? How much do we expect it to cost? How much did it actually cost? When is it going to get done? Who am I going to assign the work to? So do you know who your plumber is, your electrician, your HVAC technician, heating and air conditioning technician, your roofer, your groundskeeper? So imagine that your facilities are located in multiple different cities, so you might have different plumbers, electricians, HVAC technicians in each one of those towns. So that's the problem that we're here to solve. So also imagine that you've been named facility manager because you were good at fixing stuff. Does anybody know people that are really good at fixing stuff? They can fix anything. Now, because you were good at fixing stuff, now you've been named the facility manager. Does that mean that you're necessarily good at organizing and keeping tracks of lots of information and organizing that information? Maybe not. Usually people that are good at fixing stuff are not necessarily good technicians when it comes to keeping track of stuff. So let's take a real world example. One of our early customers, OTC, located in Springfield. So they have a campus in Springfield, 20-some buildings in Springfield. Then you've got the Nixa, or if you're from around here, Nixie campus. And then you've got Branson, you've got Waynesville, you've got Lebanon. And so you've got 15 technicians on staff of various skills. Some are plumbers, electricians, and so on. And now faculty, staff, and students at each one of those 5 different campuses, they're walking around and they see stuff that needs to be done. So all of those requests come filtering in. Now we've got to prioritize them, assign them, and figure out how we're going to get it done and keep everything working. So that's the challenge in facilities management, is we've got lots of requests, lots of issues, and we need to schedule things and make sure that we get it assigned and people get the work done. So our mission at essets is to help organizations keep track of their stuff, answer those who, what, when, where, why, and how much questions. The market, in brief, is any organization that has a significant investment in buildings and equipment, or fixed assets, if you will, basically anywhere in the world. So that's our market. The challenge, well, we're a small company, the world is a big place. So how do we reach out to all of those different people? Right now, the way we get found is if somebody does a very specific search on Google and they say, I'm looking for cloud-based asset management, then they'll likely find us. So one of our biggest challenges is to broaden that out so that different search terms find us. So far, we've got customers in New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Canada, and yes, here in the United States. Now, we want to fill in all of those countries over time. Right now, our product is only in English, but we built it from the ground up to be multilingual. So over time, we hope to broaden out so we're not just going for the English-speaking countries that I just mentioned, but any company. Okay, so that's the big picture about what essets does. By the way, you can remember it. It's just like the word assets, except with an E, essets.com if you want to look it up later. Now, I've been asking questions. Your turn.
Okay, guys, we open it up for Q&A. For any of our new guys, if you just raise your hand, we'll bring you around the microphone. For all of the people who are here in Leadership Springfield, this is their first time to a Q&A session. The goal of 1 Million Cups, we want to hear the business of your business. Paul. And I would like to know maybe just the origin story. How did you start with asset management, and then what was the birth process like, and how's the company grown from the last time you presented to now?
Okay, well, we've expanded quite a bit in terms of where our customers are located, as you probably could tell from the country list that I listed. It's interesting that the term asset management is a little bit more prevalent in other English-speaking countries other than in the US and Canada, which is why I think that we've had quite a bit of international audience. So, background, company was started about 5 years ago. We spent almost 3 years just doing backroom development before we started going to market. So we've really just been actively marketing the product for the last couple of years.
Thank you, Paul. Question about in your marketing related to specifically the property management type market with those type of companies. What type of thrust do you have in that particular industry segment?
Property management is a pretty competitive area, and that's not necessarily been our forte. Now, we know that we do a better job of maintenance management and asset tracking than a lot of the property management specific software companies. But what we don't do is anything on the billing side, so keeping track of tenants and tenant billing. So that's why we haven't broken into that segment yet. So it's been mostly, we do schools and colleges, we do banks and savings and loans, we have some manufacturing companies. Again, it's our segments are really broad right now, but we think that some of those, specifically education and finance, are going to be some of our better market segments.
Paul, can you tell us a little bit about your software development and your software platform?
You bet. It's software as a service. So that means that if you've got a desktop or a notebook or a tablet or a smartphone and you can get to the internet, you can get to our software. And we built it using what's called multi-tenant architecture, so we don't have to do any specific setup or configuration when we bring on a new customer, when we onboard a new customer. All we have to do is they fill out a form. Now, over time, we want to get it where they can really do it at self-service. Right now, we do a lot of hand-holding to get people started. But we actually generate a task list, an implementation task list when they sign up, so they can kind of follow through step by step. Here's what I need to do to get the system implemented.
Paul, you attack a certain number of value propositions, and I'm curious about OTC being your first client. So they were kind of the guinea pig, and then you solved a few problems for them, and then you quantified those results somehow. So tell me what problems you solved specifically, and then how you prove the value of your product back to them.
So what OTC was doing before essets was they were sharing a system with their IT group, basically a help desk ticketing system. And one of the problems was it was specifically oriented to help desk, IT help desk stuff. It did not keep any records about the specific buildings and equipment that they were trying to maintain. So like, what's the make, model, and serial number of the rooftop unit on building number 4? That system didn't provide that information. Going back to the lawnmower example, when you get into commercial equipment, the operation and maintenance manuals are a big deal. So if that manual is back at the main office in Springfield and you're in Branson, that doesn't help you a lot. So being able to bring up the manual online, which we link directly to from the asset list, is an advantage just from a document management standpoint.
I got 2 questions for you, Paul.
Yes, sir.
One, what is your background in? And then 2, what is the fee structure or pricing of essets? Is there a fee for onboarding? Is it licensing, monthly, annual, per facility, or per asset, or what?
Well, my background, I'd have to give away my age, which I hate to do, but I've been in the software business about 30 years. I had a company in the 80s and 90s that did software for commercial equipment dealerships. So we did parts, service, and all the general accounting applications for truck dealers, commercial equipment dealers. So that's my background. Now, what was the second question? Pricing. The average price works out to about $30 per user per month. So we price based upon number of users, or $400 a year per user is, and we start with a 2-user minimum. So the entry point is about $800 a year. It's a subscription, so you're not licensing the software like when you buy something to put on your personal computer. You're subscribing to a service.
Great presentation. Love seeing more SaaS software like this. Working in a couple enterprise-focused SaaS software companies myself, I understand the sales cycle can be long and egregious sometimes. And I was wondering, because it seems like you've got two ends of the funnel that you're coming in at, and that's the insurance side of it and also the end user side of it. And I was wondering if you're attacking both sides of those or if you're just looking at the end user right now and what that sales cycle is, what that sales cycle is like for you.
Generally, facilities managers are our customers. And sometimes they don't have that title, but they're in charge of operations, they're in charge of all the stuff. They're portfolio managers. So when they come looking, that's how they find us. We don't really do much of anything in the way of outbound marketing. We're using inbound marketing techniques, so people go looking and hopefully they find us. The sales cycle can be all over the board, where it goes, we get an inquiry and 1 week later we close the deal, to 2.5 years. I've got a customer in Nigeria that I've been working with for 2.5 years to try to bring it to closure. So it all depends. As far as lead sources, in addition to our search engine optimization work to get found, we also use some companies, like one is called Software Advice, and another one is Capterra. And both of those organizations spend a boatload of money on any time you have software in the search term, they come up at the top of the list. And of course, then they funnel those leads to their clients, so we're one of their clients. So we buy those leads. And we know as soon as we buy one of those leads that 4 other companies have it at the same time. So it's a race to see who can contact them the quickest and answer their questions, get a demo scheduled.
Hi, Paul.
Yes, sir.
I think you may have answered that question that I had for you. I'm curious, is it going as well as you hope in terms of sales? Has this been a hockey stick situation? Is it confetti sales in a sense that you have opportunities all over the floor and you're just picking them up, or is it just hand-to-hand combat every day?
It's hand-to-hand combat, and no, we haven't met our projected numbers as quickly as we expected to. So it's a slow ramp up. Another challenge in the software as a service business versus a traditional software, like the software that I used to sell in the 90s, we'd sell it for $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 for the software license. In a software as a service model, it's a subscription, so the incoming revenues are spread out over 3 or 5 years. So it is a cash crunch early on, so that's one of our big challenges, is reaching that point where the subscription revenues are covering our fixed overhead.
My question for you is, I own an e-commerce company, and so anytime we've had to deal with a SaaS system, we've generally find that there's something that they're not doing that we need. And so generally the only ones that we can ever use are ones that offer custom development, and I'm just wondering if that's something that you're doing. Because I think if you're not, you're probably limiting to yourself to companies that don't have as specific needs.
Good question. No, we don't customize. Our philosophy has been to keep our costs low. We've got one code base. The software is one system. So we don't customize it for individuals because it's all located in one place, right? Now, as we get requests, which we do every day, for something that our software doesn't currently do, we evaluate each one of those and go, okay, is that something that's going to have broad market appeal, or is it localized to this particular one? If it is, we can't get in that business. We can sometimes recommend complementary software that might go with it to fill those needs, but no, we don't customize our software.
Okay, the way we currently handle that is generally we get our own instance of the code base, and then we have our developers program it themselves if that happens. So I don't know if that'd be an option that you guys could do for people in the future.
Probably not, and the reason is as soon as you get into that business of shipping code, then you have version control nightmares.
Oh yeah, we deal with that all the time. That's why I was wondering if you would custom that.
Paul, kudos to what you're doing there. My name's Jim Rogers. From the insurance standpoint, I've been in this business for 24 years, and obviously buildings and their various systems and whatnot, those are pretty easy to maintain, you know, as far as what we have. But when it comes to lost time, what did you have in terms of everything that's inside that business? For example, in a manufacturing standpoint, we've upgraded our CNC machine, or we've upgraded this, but we failed to notify our insurance carrier. That can be an issue as far as the old machine may have been a $10,000 machine, and the new machine is a $250,000 machine.
Right, right.
You know, and in terms of not only from a commercial standpoint, even on a personal homeowner standpoint, you know, you have a loss in your home. One of the things the adjuster is going to ask is, what did you have? So asset management, even inside your home, is as important as in your business, because you can remember the big stuff, but what about the little stuff? It all adds up. So it's more of a comment than anything, just an affirmation of what you're doing. And I mean, it's a much needed thing.
Thank you. So yeah, we are big on, and going back to one of the original questions I posed, if your house burned down, was that list in the house? Well, with us, it's not, it's in the cloud. So we're automatically built for disaster recovery.
On that note, I think this is great. I was hoping when you started out that you were going to have a way that you could help me find my keys when I lose them. But it sounds like you're more commercial than residential.
That's right.
Okay, so do you have any plans to roll it out for the individual home, just as you were speaking of, to help keep track of things in your home?
I think so. It'll probably have to wait until we have all the supporting collateral that you could self-train. You know, we've done a little bit of that. We've got maybe 3 or 4 training videos. To roll it out to homeowners, we'd have to have, you know, a whole collection of support collateral that we don't currently have. So maybe we'll get there over time and have a lower cost homeowners version.
So this is a saturated market, and it has been for many, many years. Obviously, you've been in similar markets for many years. So what is your plan to differentiate and grow? You mentioned that your growth has not been what you expected. So what is your plan to change that and grow and differentiate yourself in the market and stand out?
Excellent question. Yeah, whenever you have the market being the world and organizations across industry are your targets, there's going to be a lot of people interested in that business. And yes, we do have a bunch of competitors. Now, we have some advantages over many of our competitors, and that most of them started out with on-premises systems, in-house systems, okay? And those become, some people don't update the software with the current release, they get out of date, it becomes a maintenance nightmare. So those are targets for us to replace the cloud-based system. Now, obviously we also have cloud-based competitors as well. We've noted that some of our competitors are really just web-enabled. That means that they're setting up an instance for each customer on the server at their office. So they have a lot of configuration and setup time for every new customer that they onboard. We don't. So we do have some built-in advantages based upon where we started versus the competition that started in a different place. As far as differentiation, one of the things that we're pushing really hard on is ease of use. Ease of use, ease of use, ease of use. So going back to the thing that a lot of facility managers or people that were good at fixing mechanical stuff, they're not necessarily computer geeks. So we want to make it as easy as possible for people to intuitively know what to do when they go to our system. So that's one of our major targets for differentiation, is just pure ease of use. We'll sacrifice some advanced features that some of our competitors might have because our primary emphasis is always going to be ease of use.
Hi, Paul. My name's Melanie Polstrom with Great Southern Bank.
We need to talk to you.
I was just thinking, about another kind of area you might be able to use this in, and I don't know for sure if it would work or not, but maybe with attorneys and with their trust clients and managing their actual assets they have listed in the trust. Commonly, when you have a trust set up for yourself and you purchase a new car, you constantly have to remember to put things in the trust, or to at least make the trust transfer on death or payable on death. And so this would be a good, I could see where it could be a management tool for an attorney's office to actually kind of manage that for their clients, and maybe send out emails and say, this is where we have, this is the assets we have listed in your trust. Is there anything you bought? Is there anything you need to change? Those kind of things, but it's just a thought. So
Okay, thank you. That's an interesting one. I hadn't thought of that.
Paul, as we wrap up here, first a shamelessly self-serving question. This is your second time presenting.
Yes.
Before we ask you the question, how can we as a community help you? What makes you want to present at A Million Cups? And then, how can we as a community help you?
Well, I get excited about our software. I think we've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in building this. So anytime I get the opportunity to talk about my product or company, I love doing that. So how can the community help? Well, we need customers. So if you think of any organizations that you know that might have trouble keeping track of their stuff, keeping track of their priorities and their to-do list, keeping their facilities running smoothly, please let us know. That's the biggest area that we could use the community's help.
All right, Paul, thank
All right, as we transition to our next presenter, we have a couple of quick announcements. The SBTDC, the Real Estate Investor Groups, and the eFactory. You can just reference our whiteboard real quick. And if you guys have any other announcements, events, or groups, anything like that that you think the entrepreneurship community can benefit from, please just let us know. We'd love to push it out. If you guys did not register at the front, we have a weekly newsletter that we update. It typically goes out on Tuesday afternoon. You can check our Facebook, Twitter, and whatnot. So thank you, Leadership Springfield, for coming in. Thanks for the heads up, Carly. I'm glad we were able to accommodate everybody. I think we got almost everybody in a seat. And there are a couple seats up front for those in the back if you guys want to grab a chair. And another special shout out to Mr. Jay Handy coming in from Madison, Wisconsin. Always a pleasure to have you, sir. Thank you. And Michelle Granger, if you guys are not familiar with Dr. Granger, she's an entrepreneur many times over, author. She heads up the entrepreneurship department at Missouri State. Her class is here. If you guys can just wave your hands real quick. I think they're here. They're supposed to be here.
Actually, I'm on sabbatical working on a research project, so they're Dr. DeBode students. Where are your hands? There.
Okay, they're there. There they are. But she has a survey that she's going to tell you guys a little bit about that we sent out in our newsletter last week, and we sent it out yesterday as well. I'm going to put the link up on our Facebook real quick, but if you could tell us a little bit about the survey and then what it's going to do and that we can get.
I have a teacher's voice. I have that teacher's voice. It's on social media and entrepreneurs. I need 100 survey answers to do my research and find out what you like, what you're using, if you know what it's doing for you, and what the next big thing is. And then I will share the results with 1 Million Cups, and we'll learn from each other. And I've got 25 in. I need at least 80 more. Please go to the link. And if I get the 100, see that donut? I'm going to buy them for you. Any questions that you might have, the link's on the Facebook page, and I think it's on the 1 Million Cups page also, webpage too. It won't even take you 10 minutes, and it will really give us a lot of good information. We're using social media, but we don't know what it's doing, is where we are right now. Thank you.
So you'll see that. Other than that, we're going to transition into our next presenter. It's going to be quite a switch up, and every week is a switch up. We don't really know exactly what we're going to get on Wednesday mornings except for our dry runs, but it's always different. There's always different presenters and always different companies. So Adam Rosenbach with Modern Craftsman Design Group, who's just literally right across the street, is their studio, is going to tell us a little bit about his background, hopefully get into some theology. unless you changed it up.
I changed it up a lot.
Okay, but we'll see. So give it up for Adam. Thank you.
Is this on? Oh, nice. Okay. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out this morning. I know 9 a.m. on hump day is definitely a little bit tough, but I'm so excited and so thrilled to be able to share the work that I am doing with a room full of such exciting, dynamic individuals. Hi, I'm Adam. I'm the executive designer and owner of the Modern Craftsman Design Group. The Modern Craftsman is Springfield's premier artist collaborative and also purveyor of locally sourced home goods, design services, and creative events. We are a group of like-minded artists, craftsmen, and musicians who aim to positively impact our community by creating a unique space for creatives to come, expand, and flourish. We believe that great design uplifts and glorifies a human experience, and by calling upon traditional techniques, we aim to provide well-designed and well-thought-out products and services. We are the country's first micro-batch producer of custom-made furniture and lifestyle products sourced specifically from local, sustainable products, craftsmen, and artists. Needless to say, we make beautiful things. The Craftsman Design Group is composed of 4 critical aspects. There's production house itself. It's based in the tradition of the Bauhaus, which is a production studio. The things that we make, the ideas that we create, go to finance the studio itself and upkeep our tools. But more importantly, this is also my practice. This is a culmination of myself, my interns, all the work I do, and the culmination of all of the knowledge, the passion that goes into our products. I am an interior architect, furniture designer, installation artist, and master potter. We currently have 2 very hungry interns and 3 music promoters who help me realize all the products and events we do. Everything from sometimes it's just a thumbnail sketch at a bar to a stack of Pinterest photos to, these interns and staff help me realize this all the way to the final event and the installation. Renworks is the second aspect. This is our digital fabrication studio. The studio holds a number of professional licenses, usually inaccessible to creatives due to their price point. We also have a 3D printer, an SLR camera for checkout, a photography studio, and we're currently in the process of acquiring our laser cutter and a CNC router. Gallery Sky is the newest addition to our Craftsman family. So new, in fact, we're still doing the demo and design work, but this will be our white wall gallery, our more formal space, our hosting bar to the home store itself. And last but not least, we have the Revival. The Revival is a culmination of all of our social outreach programs, our social events, but most importantly, it is our members. The day-to-day expenses of the studio are paid through a gym, almost like a gym membership with the members. But it's also the culmination of the membership board. Each member who joins has a voice in how the studio is run, formatted, and we jury our newest members coming into the collective. So why do I do any of this? I came down from Minnesota. I came down to go school at Drury. And it kind of dawned on me about a year ago, I can really go move and settle anywhere I want. And I decided to stay in Springfield, not because it's a beautiful community, but it's a community with problems and deep structural issues. And it's a community that I feel that the work I do and the community that I'm building can have a really positive impact in that. So in the studio, we live and die by one saying. It was coined by the great American architect Frank Lloyd Wright, and it is Shone Haus. And it means beautiful home. And when Wright said it, he didn't mean the physical property, but he rather meant the culmination of all of our social and cultural interactions, our neighborhoods, our neighbors, last but not leastly, the things that we own. And he argued that through a Usonian tradition, a design and cultural aesthetic, uniquely American and ultimately Midwestern, we can create an uplifting, transformative effect on our communities. And that is why we make beautiful objects, beautiful events, and beautiful spaces.
Guys, we're open again for a Q&A. You can raise your hand.
Where is the space located?
Quite literally across the parking lot. We've got this obnoxiously large vinyl over our front window and a big white tarp over Gallery Sky, which we're renovating. Next to Heroes Coffee.
How does it differ from makerspace, or is it a makerspace?
It is, in the most raw sense, it is a shared collaborative. Actually, in my community, if I was to use the term maker, I would probably lose a majority of my clients and a majority of my members. In the communities that we operate in, maker is a little bit of a dirty word. I recently did a... Oh, yep, sorry. I was going to get to that. I recently did a survey with all of our members, and I found out that we have more college degrees in mainly creative fields than we actually do with members. And maker spaces often give a connotation of, DIY, do it yourself. And with most of our members, this is their production house. This is their artistic home. This is where they come to do their professional work when maybe their home students can't facilitate it. So there's definitely a professional edge to what we do. And it's also my practice. So I'm constantly farming my members for, I need X number of pots, X number of rugs, I need this table too. So it's a little bit different structurally and socially because of that. We also have a number of tool sets that a makerspace wouldn't have. We have our kilns, our resin working. Well, it's mainly our kilns and all of our ceramic setups, also our painting studios that make us different than a makerspace. There's also a strong social aspect to what we do. So members join up not for the space, but also for the community, for our events and our social aspect.
But they may not know anything about how to use this equipment, share the professional education that you offer.
And that's kind of the beauty, of the space, is that there are a handful of members like that. But definitely with most of us being of a creative design or art background, in studios, it's common practice to develop an informal mentor system. So in our space, people teach each other how to do things naturally and organically without having that structure built within it.
Are you familiar with Moon City here in Springfield and what they're doing in the community?
A little bit, not particularly. I know it's over close by C Street.
That's right, just north of Springfield on Case. Whole neighborhood, about a 5 by 4 block area, 20 square blocks. They've painted some 100 of their telephone poles to mark out where the area is. They're growing it as an arts community, converting a lot of the homes to artist studios. They have a kind of a long-term projected goal like that. It just seems like maybe that's something fitting in terms of your space, in terms of your concern for community, and it is an area of concern in Springfield, that neighborhood.
Yeah.
In regards to taking products to market and doing product development, have you worked with manufacturers rather than just like a boutique retailer or something like that, but actually like a manufacturer to design product that would then be out in the marketplace across the country or the world? Do you guys work with manufacturers in that space, or would you be interested to?
I would be open to the idea. Part of it is, I'm doing this as a very community-orientated kind of business with a deep philosophical aspect to it. So I would have to take it tentatively, because I look at things as much more of long-term relationships. As we're moving right now, the next big thing I'm branching into, besides all the client work, is actually beginning to produce a line of furniture that I move into the high-end retailers in St. Louis, Chicago, and Minneapolis. And those are very kind of tentative discussions I'm beginning, and everyone's a little bit slow to pull the trigger on it, because let's be honest, I'm 24, no one really wants to deal with a supply side issue that quite yet. But definitely as things continue, it's something I'm looking to grow into.
Hey, Dante. Hey, first of all, thank you for having the heart to stay around in Springfield and make something. Congratulations, I definitely understand that. With this, I have 3 questions. One, insurance. How'd you guys handle that? I know we had a lot of difficulty even defining who we were as a business to insurance companies, and they thought if we didn't make cabinets, then they weren't going to insure us. Second question is, how do you make money on this? What's your profitable, like you talked a little bit about having scalable furniture and stuff like that, which I think is awesome. But with that many creative minds in one space, what's the intention to make money long term? And then third, creative people aren't really known for organizational skills.
I'm going to be a great father.
Yeah, so how's that going?
You have no idea. No, I'm going to be a great dad. The ways I've had to learn to like positively motivate people without getting upset with them. Like even this morning I come in and clean up a couple beer bottles. Like it's just kind of the nature of things. Every member gets like a space, their own allocation of things. Insurance is a headache. You have an idea. It's a headache. I have a very simple liability insurance. I've got a number of contracts. There's release of liability. And a lot of my tools have locks on them, so you're not able to use them if you don't have my permission. And each tool, there are a lot of tools in a wood shop you can be using right, correctly, and perfectly, and something goes wrong, you're still going to lose a couple of fingers. And for each of those tools, there's a separate independent contract that goes with them. And last but not leastly, since it is kind of community driven, a lot of people view it as their community. I know it's a very fickle level of hope and trust there, but understanding that a lot of the members who look at the space is their space, their investment, and their home. The hope is it won't come to a lawsuit. So as far as profitability is concerned, there's a couple different revenue streams. The first and foremost is our event series. I think this month we have 6 shows. We average 200 to 300 people a show. So with bands, we do a door split. There is a flat rate to use the space. And eventually I'll be getting my liquor license and building a bar. The second revenue is actually the membership dues. It's set up like a gym membership. Those dues pay the day-to-day expenses of the space. There's not a lot of money made there, but my overhead is usually covered month to month by membership dues. And then the third stream, the stream that really pays for myself and me, is my practice, is the design, my design work. Right now I've got 1 apartment interior that I'm completely doing. So sourcing products, building furniture, and then I've got 2 homes under contract where I'm doing all the design work, working with contractors to do the infill again, and then I'm also building the furniture. So that's where the meat of the money for the studio comes from right now. And yeah.
Hi, I'm really excited to see you here because when I moved here a couple of years ago, I was looking for something like this. So I have several questions for you. What's your marketing? I went on the internet before I moved here and couldn't find anything like this on the internet. What is your cost for a space? And how many members do you have?
Yeah, our marketing has been word of mouth right now. And our growth has been very organic and incredibly explosive. Our space numbers in about the 40 we have about 40 members, give or take, right now. And so most of the marketing, what we've had to do to build new clients, build new members, has been purely word of mouth. Typical space costs, depending on your needs, sometimes it's as low as $20. Like, oh, you're not using the wood shop? Okay, well, have a key, show work, you can show up occasionally, whatever. And at the top end, depending on your needs, it caps out at around 100. So.
Hi, I'm Brian. Hey, I actually had a comment. My wife and I at a First Friday Art Walk, we actually found one of your flyers, which was really impressive. And so we stopped by. We were interested more in the custom furniture side.
Yeah.
We were actually a little disappointed because there was like 2 pieces. So just the recommendation would be, I understand you have space constraints.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to have a showroom. But even if you had some kind of digital presentation, like a scrolling television of different stuff that you can make, that would help a lot because there's a severe lack of custom furniture or custom anything in Springfield, and I think you guys could fill that void. But if we can't see what you can do, it makes it kind of hard.
Yeah, I never even really thought about that. I don't even actually have any of my furniture in the space, which is ironic because the client load has been so explosive. I quite literally mean that I finish pieces, and they get packed in my car and delivered, or packed in the truck and delivered. Yeah, and I never thought about that. That's a fantastic idea. I probably will be doing that.
Hey, Adam, right here. I love the images, love the culture, love what you're trying to bring to Springfield. Got a couple questions.
Yeah.
Who are your best clients right now in Springfield? And then on top of that, who would you like to target here in Springfield who you have not reached?
Yeah. I guess clients kind of go in both ways. As far as membership's concerned, our membership has an equal smattering of the age group across the board. My members are pretty fantastic. We're definitely at a point right now where I take misbehaving members and they're just out the door because we can replace them that month. As far as my actual clients, majority of my clients are yippies. They are young professionals, probably just got married. They're looking to move into their first adult home with their first adult furniture. And making that transition is very intimidating and a little bit scary because price points on furniture are across the board. You could go to IKEA or you could go to, I've price pointed sofas like love seats between 8 to 10 grand. So there's a huge variable in there. So most of my clients I'm doing work for right now are yippies, and those are fantastic people to work with. They're young, they're excited, they know how to, they know what they want, and they often have great tastes to go with it. So as far as clients are concerned, I really enjoy working with them. But I've also have a couple of larger clients who are, who'd be my parents' age, who are just, they need to make that update, they need to make that change in their home. And those people are great to work with too, but the demands and those relationships are a little bit different. For a lot of my clients, I can just pick up my phone, shoot them a text, be like, hey, I did X number of hours today, here's a couple of drawings, let me know what you think. And I'll get a text back in the morning and be like, hey, great, whatever. So with younger clients, my generation, it's a much more organic design process with them.
Hi, my name is Larry Asker, and I'm with a manufacturing plant here in town, Advanced Fabrication Technology. So I might be a source if you actually like to manufacture something. You're talking about getting into CNC equipment, which we have, water jets, mills, routers, tube welding, things like that. So I've been through your shop over there. It's pretty nice. And I would recommend getting rid of the beer, though, if you have equipment. Okay, just separate that.
The beer guys, the beer guys are great. The beer guys are great. I've got their members. There are 2 guys who brew soda, 2 guys who brew beer, across the board. A number of girls who make clothing. There's a couple potters and this and that. I love the beer guys though. There's nothing better. There's nothing better than having, beer that's brewed in the space on tap in the basement late at night. I'm not gonna lie.
So you had mentioned the new space and its use as an event space. So is that something that you're planning on only having events that you host, or is that a space that you're imagining the community will be able to be a part of?
Oh, the new space. So that is very much like the white wall gallery. So we have a number of events through the space. The events I imagine in that space are very much like the formal events. We're having a big opening for this artist or something. So more of like a black tie events in that space. Not so much as an event space, but just the nicer space that we have for, more formal events. That's something that the current studio is lacking.
Oh, hi. Did that answer your question?
Actually, I'd still love to know, so it's something that you're planning on renting out, or just your events that you're hosting?
Oh, both. Both, yeah.
Thank you. I was wondering that too. My question is more about startup capital.
Yeah.
So you just graduated from college. How do you have these buildings and all this equipment?
Yep. I graduated 2 years ago.
Okay.
I worked at Target Corporate for about 10 months before I decided to quit. And needless to say, I moved back for a girl. Currently single, so it didn't quite work out. Startup-wise, there was a previous entity in that space in a while. So when we got boots down on the ground and running, we started with 10 members, which doesn't even cover our lease, but it was close enough. So a lot of it's been out of pocket, and a lot of the growth that we've been doing, I've just been subsiding off my savings for about the last year or so, and most of the growth, most of the tools have happened through design work and jobs. It has kind of happened organically just through the work that I've been doing. You know, the tools are phenomenally expensive. Any kind of woodworking tool is just expensive as it is. So we were able to start with a very kind of raw bones tool setup. And through more work, more client work, we were able to continue to flesh that out and to continue to purchase new tools, new equipment, and all the stuff. And make no mistake, I do not live extravagantly either. So every cent goes back into the business. So a lot of the startup capital is just straight out of pocket. Straight out of pocket.
Good morning, Adam. My name is Michael. I'm single also. I have a two-part question. Do all four aspects of your business all in that same building across the parking lot? And do you ever give tours behind the scenes?
Yes and yes. The whole entity is held within, you know, we have there's 6,000 square feet finished. With the addition of the next door space, it's another 1,500. So we have a pretty substantial amount of floor space over there as far as the studio is concerned. And so we're able to facilitate all these different entities within the space itself.
Thinking about your space and events, two groups that you may want to network with, the Springfield Design Association and ASID, the Society of Interior Designers. We have a big group here in town. They're always looking for custom goods. And if Michael and Adam go, they have really cute girls.
I have two questions. One of them came more from personal experience where I was trying to get a sofa custom made a couple years ago. And there wasn't really anywhere around that could do it. And the places that I found were not around here. And the problem that I kind of ran into is that since it was custom made, there wasn't really a way to see the different options of the different styles and different things they could do. And so you kind of got to the point that, hey, I would like to make one, but you didn't know what the next step was. Mm-hmm. And so I'm wondering, I like the idea that he had about the digital imaging to where you could kind of see different ones you'd made in the past, stuff like that. But what are you currently doing so that when someone's at that point, they can actually complete a sale rather than just having this great idea that never comes to fruition?
Yeah, that was a great question. And that goes into the design process. I've got my MArch and my MFA. And so with my backgrounds, there's a traditional kind of design process. It's schematic design, design drawings, and then final fabrication. So with the client, I sit down, I gather what they want. You know, the thing right now is they print off just stacks of Pinterest photos. And then so I sit down with them, you know, we grab coffee, we talk about everything that you want to do, and I do thumbnail sketches, straight up hand sketches. And then if those get a tentative okay, I take it into a computer. So I basically have a finished render of what the piece will look like before I start fabrication. So you're able to get an entire idea of the object that you've kind of conceptualized and we've worked with to kind of create this idea. And then I quite literally take from off the software, it's a one-to-one reproduction. So with my tools, my software, I can literally go, you know, for building a table, I can go, oh, this piece of wood is 4 feet long, 3 inches deep, it has these router cuts in it. Yeah. And so it works really well for clients who need that visualization aid, and it works well for me because I'm literally producing it out of my computer.
Okay. I think the idea he had about doing the actual visual of that would help. In my situation, I think I would have just left with the current process that you have, because I would have got a phone call or something at work, and my 5-minute break for looking for a custom sofa would have been over. Right? Yeah. You would have been able to get my interest with some, hey, this is what we've done in the past, and this is it. So then I could say, hey, I like their quality, I like the style, and it would build confidence with me that we'd be able to actually do something that I'd like in the end without getting too invested. Yeah. Before you know how that goes. But anyway, my other question was, and this honestly might not work with your philosophy well, but it would probably produce a lot of revenue. Is in the e-commerce world, there's so much competition. It's all for the same make and model. So it's like, hey, there's sofa number, what model number, whatever, 1, 2, 3, right? And there's 50 different stores carrying it, and you go to a Google Shopping and sort by price, whoever has the cheapest price, and boom, there you go. And it's too competitive. And so I've wondered if maybe you guys, some of your people that are custom making product, if they would maybe want to pre-make some of this stuff and start offering it to e-commerce companies as a way to differentiate themselves so they could have products that they don't have competition with all over the internet. Where you could reach out to them and say, hey, we could make 5 SKUs that are going to be custom specifically to you that we won't sell to anyone else.
Yeah, well, I didn't think about branching out to other e-commerce companies. The big, with our website, we have an intern currently working on it, where we're planning much more of an online kind of marketplace. Right now, it's very bare bones. I really developed it about a year ago just to get, some kind of form of legitimacy behind me besides handing out pamphlets and stuff. And that's kind of in process. I've never really thought about branching it out. The big thing was keeping it in the family, in our community. But it's definitely something I think now that you've kind of put it on my radar, I should probably pursue.
I think there'd be a lot of revenue there.
Yeah.
Because that's becoming a huge challenge for e-commerce, is that you're just competing with everyone. If you have a product that no one else has, now you're not competing with everyone.
Yeah.
Yes, single man over here. I was told I should say that, so yeah, I would just start off with a comment, kind of address it. We have a lot of young people here. That age should never be a reason why you shouldn't do something, especially in business. And I've never had somebody turn me down strictly because I'm young. So I just like to address that because I don't want people to be intimidated here. After that, and just a yes or no question because we're short on time. You kind of made it sound like your space is strictly for professionals. And I feel like there's a huge growth opportunity in the do-it-yourself space. Is that a part of your growth strategy?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not just for professionals, but it is definitely professional oriented.
Adam, thank you very much. I appreciate your explanation. So what else can we as a community do for you?
Well, I think the biggest thing for a small business is word of mouth. New members and new clients are always great, but it's creating just awareness around what we're doing and the products and the things we're making. And always feel free to hit us up on Facebook. We do a lot of events, do a lot of exciting things, so everyone's always welcome to show up for those. Thanks.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Adam. 1 million cups is a lot of things, but a dating site, I don't know about that. I'm flexible, but anyway. Hey, thanks for to the Leadership Springfield class for being here. I was a member, so many years ago, I can't remember the class. It was either third or fourth, I can't remember, so that's been a while ago. If anyone here knows someone that would benefit from this space, please see one of the organizers here, go to our website, because we would really like to talk to them. We're going to do this same time next week, so please come back. Thank you.